Essentially, this is a really hilarious flop where Donald Trump's on a phone call with the Benjamin Netanyahu, essentially trying to get him to slam Joe Biden, I imagine, so he can cut it and use it in an ad. Basically, Trump sets him up for an alley-oop to dunk on Biden, and instead it just completely airballs.
Yeah, this is so funny, and you can tell that whether it be Netanyahu or even a lot of the Republicans who are kind of disavowing Trump, they know what's coming, and
they're distancing themselves from him like the fucking plague, like coronavirus.
And yeah, I mean, if I was another world leader, I would also not take in this bait. It's like he's going to be working with Joe Biden in like less than 4 months. Of course, he wants to be on his good side.
Yeah.
Do you think Sleepy Joe could have made this deal, Bibi? Sleepy Joe. I think. Do you think he would have made this deal somehow? I don't think so.
Well, Mr. President, one thing I can tell you is we appreciate the help for peace from anyone in America, and we appreciate what you've done enormously.
Yeah. Do you think Sleepy Joe?
There's the expression change on his face. Like Trump shares so many facial features with like the Grinch almost. Like, you know, the animated Grinch. Like when you look at Donald Trump's face change, it's like, oh, wow. It reminds me of the old school animated Grinch expressions. I don't know. Maybe I'm projecting.
Totally. No, I see what you're saying. 100%. And it's also just hilarious how he's pretending like how he like single-handedly arranged this, you know, normalizing the relations of Sudan.
And if anybody's not familiar with that deal, essentially what it is in order for Sudan to now officially recognize Israel, which they hadn't as a governing body, now the United States is going to give them aid. That was essentially the deal. The Reader's Digest version, there's nitty gritty, obviously, if you're interested, and we'll get into it another day. Probably not. But I just thought that was really funny.
Yeah, totally. This almost reminds me of when Stacey Abrams found out live on television that she wasn't going to be Joe Biden's vice president. And you just saw her face go from like elated to totally crushed.
I wish we would have had one of those videos for, or I hope we get one, the moment that Elizabeth Warren knows she's not getting anything in the Biden cabinet.
Yeah, hopefully.
You want to know something that really fucking disgusted me? Shout out to the Michael Brooks Show for resurfacing this clip. But there was an interview from when Elizabeth Warren was still like a real like contender in the primary back in 2019, last year. And she just goes full on, fuck Venezuela. We need Juan Guaido. We need and it just it just really lays bare the whole like she is the definition of like what people say when they say like white feminists. Like she doesn't give a fuck about indigenous people. She doesn't give a fuck about U.S. imperialism. She literally had Harvard call her the first woman of color in their law school because she was lying about being Native American. Are you fucking kidding me? Fuck anybody that still supports Elizabeth Warren at this point. And I just mean like.
And also, fuck anyone that during the primary tried to make it seem like she was the same as Bernie Sanders and that they represented the same philosophy, the same movement. Those people don't actually understand the movement. They don't have any actual standards or litmus tests for why one of those candidates was clearly better than the other. And I mean,
and they ultimately believe in U.S. supremacy.
100%. I'm damn close to thinking Elizabeth Warren was straight up like an asset of the DNC or Biden campaign to try to take out Bernie and siphon off progressive votes from him, which ultimately did work.
I don't know if there's any evidence for that, but I wouldn't be.
There's not, except for the fact that she didn't endorse him when she clearly should have. And
when it was fucking obvious too. I think that was just. I think that the real thing about Elizabeth Warren is that they didn't even have to make her a plan. All they had to do was dangle the right carrot. Yeah. Like she's too much of a careerist, you know? Same with she doesn't have any values that she would put ahead of her career. I think that she made the correct political calculus back in 2008. And that's why she fought for the things that she fought for when she was pushing Joe Biden and what we all kind of hope for.
Totally. But it just reveals how, little of an ideology.
She was pushing for the CFPB and all that kind of shit. That's right, CFPB.
This was her face when she realized that she would not be Joe Biden's vice president. I just think that's so funny. Trump slowly realizing that